Testing, 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 motherfucker. Hello, hello.
Unmute. Can you hear me?
Yeah. A little.
Make sure we can hear you. Looks like you might be muted at the bottom as well.
You have feedback.
Oh, hold on. Let me see if it's just my computer.
Maybe it's.
There we go. We're good. We're good. All right. We're also live on TikTok. I just can't do both at the same time. But those of you that are on TikTok, as you can see here, I am live with the founder of Axon DAO. You guys can just sit here and listen. Or what you can do, you can go over to Elon's platform. I won't say the name because I get shadow banned for saying things. But it's at The Real TR Talks. Again, it's at The Real TR Talks. So I'll either see you over there, we'll see you here. So anyways, hopefully you guys can hear him talk. I got to put it far enough away so it doesn't echo. But anyways, what's up, man? How are you?
Doing well. It's a nice Saturday morning with some feedback. So I'm going to try to worked in that. Glad to be here.
Yes, for sure, for sure. So I sent you a list of questions we'll kind of go over today that the people want to know, and but if you want to give a slight introduction here, just let everybody know who you are and stuff like that.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. I'm Chris Cresilius, founder of Axon DAO. Started quite a long time ago, and I guess you can say to the kids, stay to your dreams and keep grinding, because I guess at some point it'll pay off. It's just been a labor of love to this point. We've been doing Axon since 2012. I'd love to get into the backstory about it, but yeah, we're just happy to be here, and I think DSI is kind of a key word now, and yeah, I'm just glad to be here.
Awesome. And now, correct me if I'm wrong. You guys, so what you said, 2012 is when you guys started?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember you saying that over 12 years ago you started Axon. This is before you even thought about making a cryptocurrency, right?
Way before. It was just like about there was problems in the medical professionals were texting. I mean, it was pretty simple, and there was like natural disasters, and they have to communicate, but then you have HIPAA law. So how do you go around that? But how do you serve the patient, because they're the number one person? So we were just always given a task of how to fix an inefficient problem. And in 2018, when we were getting into clinical data, we were kind of laughing because blockchain and crypto is like a buzzword, and we always use that as like, oh, just put blockchain in your pitch deck, everyone will give you money. And we were just kind of laughing about it back then. But when we really saw the use case of how blockchain can help the world and its utility, like in the nature of what it can do,
Sure.
it became kind of like humbling that, like, wow, this can really be a powerful thing. And wait, we just happen to be here at the right time. So that's kind of how it all kind of came together. But it's just always trying to problem solve. I'm just a tinkerer and always like to try to fix things. And I guess I'm trying to fix something pretty big now with some awesome people to help. So yeah.
I'm excited to talk about what you guys do, because I think a lot of people, and there's a lot of misinformation out there, and you guys are doing multiple things. It's not just one thing. So we're going to be talking about that. And periodically I'll be telling my TikTok followers, there's like 300 people on so far right now. Guys, if you want to actually see us talking, we are actually live on Elon's platform here with the founder of Axon DAO. You guys can go follow over there. That is at the Real TR Talks. The words are the Real TR Talks. If you want to actually go over and watch it from there, or you can just sit here, watch me, and listen. So at the Real TR Talks on Elon's platform. All right, you know what I'm talking about. One more time, the Real TR Talks with an S at the end. All right. So, anyways. Cool. Well, let's start here. So 12 years in the making, almost 13 years now. So a lot of people, they don't know that. They think, oh, this crypto just came up out of nowhere a year ago or 2 years ago or whatever. And no, you guys have been working on this project for a long time. And just like you said, you know what? We need to bring this into the crypto space, the blockchain space. And you're solving a lot of interesting problems from what I understand. And I want to get into let's actually go to these questions here. Let me pull this up. Can you guys still hear me when I move my screen? All right. Can you guys hear me when can you hear me when I move my screen over?
I can hear you.
Okay. All right, cool. So give me a second. So here's one of the big things I want to know. Who's working on this project? I know that you have a gentleman named Mac as well, who is the founder of Axon as well with yourself. And I'd love to do this with Mac someday too. So we'll have to do this again. Maybe the both of you. Maybe we can do something in person sometime, because I'm sure we'll meet up again. We seem to run into each other at random places. So
yeah,
that was funny. We were actually, it's funny. How we actually connected was we were standing in line to meet Russell Brand at Bitcoin Nashville just a few months ago. And he looks at me and he's like, I know you. And I'm like, I know you too. And then we start talking, and next thing you know, here we are. So, So yeah, but how big is your team? Is it just you and Mac, or is there what do you got going on? Tell us a little bit about what you guys got going on there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like any team; it develops over time, and you have players come in, come out. But I got to say, if it wasn't for Mac hopping in, Tarusha has always been awesome. Tarusha Jaisina, she's amazing. She's a neuroscientist, works at University of Australia. She's does the chemical analysis of terpenes, of fungus. So she's always been really cool and awesome to kind of be a player there in the scientific role. But in the tech side of things, I can only do so much, and team's only as good as the components. And Mac brought, once I connected with him, he brought so much. It was like perfect amount of tech, the tech background, medical background, devices background. It's almost like he has like the perfect yang to my yin when it comes to like our skill sets. And we both have a commonality of like, there's a lot of things wrong in the world, and how do we fix these things? And hey, we just happen to be here. And, we just kind of bonded as buddies, honestly. And, you know, every time we got to a problem, he would just, here, I have a solution. And then I would just do my side. And next thing you know, like, combination of him doing everything and then me doing everything kind of combines. And it's been kind of a monstrosity to kind of tackle, just because I had someone to kind of help the other side of things that I wasn't as strong in. And then once we developed the idea that, hey, we can do a token, we can do a governance token and do things a certain way, it just kind of took its own life. And I got to keep saying that, like, timing has been oddly on our side. Like, even when Mac was like, hey, let's make the launch price like the Max Planck like theorem. Like, I don't know, Mac has always kind of threw some funny things in there, and whatever it is, the combination of Mac coming into the mix at the right time, and Tharusha's experience behind that, and then I guess just my, like, I can say almost like ignorant drive. I don't know. Like, I just been going, and it's just like, okay, finally it's here. But now that things are here, it's like now the work has to be done. And we've added some awesome people to the team. His dev group in Poland that he's worked with for years. I mean, they work hard. I mean, they constantly grind stuff out. It's just always something they're working on. I just talked with Mac this morning, actually. I don't know if you want to get into this part, but they're connecting the dots on the last little bits of Cure OS and the Cure Ring and stuff like that. So
We will.
happy
Yeah, that's going to be one of the questions.
A little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the questions. I'm very interested in the Cure Ring. I know you're kind of in the beta testing stages of that. And last time so I remember we met. The last time I saw you was in Nashville, but prior to that was the first time I ever met you, and that was in Denver at the Ethereum conference. And I met you guys. We were at some random restaurant. I forgot what it was, some like beer house, and you guys had a decent amount of people there. You had 2 or 3 tables full of people. You guys got a pretty big team over there. Have you grown since then, or are you guys still around the same amount?
I think we've honestly, like, when it comes down to turnover, like, I don't know, we've had some people come in and some things may have not worked out or whatever. But I like our team now. And I guess, it's, you always have like people who do things and whatever, but the people who kind of stick around through some, thick and thin type things are the ones, we feel like just kind of like can tolerate the weather, I guess you can say, in this industry. And I think since last year, we've had quite a dip in the market, and then it's come back. So, everyone that's here is tested true. And, our team, a lot of the team that I have is from before I was a magazine publisher, started a magazine. I was in music and the whole 9 yards. So we're using a lot of those people that content creators, just smart people, problem solvers. It's funny because like Web 2 and Web 3, it doesn't mean if someone's in Web 3, they're going to be perfect for like what we're doing. And the same for Web 2. So it's just like finding the people that have the right attributes. And I feel like we're getting those slowly but surely, to stick around.
Well, I've seen it. You guys have not stopped working ever since I heard about this project. you know, regardless of price going up and down, that happens with every project, right? And I know that's what most people care about is where's the price going, right? But you guys are actually solving a real problem. There's one of the things in crypto is there's a lot of projects out there where people are saying, hey, we're doing this and we're doing that, and they're really not actually doing it. And I can say proudly that you guys are actually doing what you're saying. And that's and it's crazy because especially for low cap cryptos, you guys are, I mean, you guys are almost a micro cap, right? You guys are at a 30, 40 billion. What are we at right now in terms of how many million in terms of market cap right now? Anything, what is it right now? Does anybody know?
I don't like to talk about those things
I
because
know you can't say those numbers. I'm pretty sure you guys are still under like a 50, $60 million market cap, well under 100. So you guys are still a small cap. As somebody says 70 million. Okay, cool. So you guys are getting there, right? But my point behind that is a lot of these projects that are under a few hundred million, they really aren't even doing anything. And you guys really are. And I can talk about that. Obviously, full disclaimer, he doesn't talk about price. He doesn't know the price. Doesn't matter. The price doesn't matter, right? It's the project that matters. So, but no, I mean, when you think about that, one of the biggest things, and that's what a lot of people look at, is price, price, price. And you guys are still such a low market cap project, and you guys have a lot going on. So that's what I want to really get into next here. I'm going to pull up this question. Give me 1 second. So let's just do this. What is the primary goal of Axon?
Well, the very first thing we ever really wanted to do, the AI, everything kind of came together in the fold, but to fund awesome science projects, medical science, DeSci, solutions to the world, whatever helps humanity, whatever project that is, presents itself that is going to help do something that we're all going to benefit from. That's the goal. And it's not really, let's make full capitalization and full profit off these ideas. Because, when we had our very, very, very first meeting about what a DAO is and what Axon could be, it was, again, the valley of death and in the life cycle of medical treatments or science or whatever. It's just because funding. And so when we realized that, hey, we could fund things, using this blockchain and all this crazy money going around, that that's always been the inherent thing. But because of the laws in the U.S. being as clunky and cumbersome as they have been, we can't just give funds out like that, and we can't do this and do that. We're setting those things up, and let me say, as fast as we possibly can, but those things aren't always as fast as you want. I believe now that the laws in the U.S. will really just blast open so that we can do the things that we want to do and not have to like Frankenstein our way around like solving a problem. Like, let's just give that thing money and make sure that we have an agreement. Like in the U.S. law, it's just so ridiculous that if you even touch anything blockchain, it's just been whatever. But when it comes down to it, like, I think we've been so pressure tested through this legal side of things that we're going to be able to I don't know much we won't be able to survive or get through. So that's the biggest thing, is to be able to see that we've helped a project get funding that's going to solve a problem. And like that, honestly, like as a father, as a parent, as a person that has a heart, like I kind of want to see some good stuff happen and see the actual end result. And we're right there. So we're excited. And one last thing to note is the people that are helping us do the governance and the granting and those things. They've done it for Arbitrum, Optimism, I think Cardano. So we're in good hands there when we start to do the granting of funds. But again, we got to get it right, and we got to work through the law.
What is it that that I guess started this whole journey? Like, so I understand that you guys are trying to solve different medical problems out there in the world. And one of the biggest things, and I did a video on this, and correct me if I was wrong, but one of the biggest things that you guys are trying to solve, we talk about DeSci, decentralized science, because when in the world we live in today, and I have to be very careful when I say this, this is my opinion, TikTok. I know X doesn't care. We can speak freely, but TikTok, this is just my opinion. I'm not saying this is actually happening. Again, it's my opinion. They take me down. They like to take me down a lot. But the reality of it, in my opinion, is when it comes to medical science, there's no money in a cure, right? You've probably heard this, right? There's no money in a cure. So when it's hard to get funding if you're going to cure something, from my understanding. And then when you do cure something, it's they try to suppress it. They try to buy it from you. They try to stop it, right? And is that something that I guess, how can we connect that to Axon? Is that something that you guys have thought about?
This is a great question, and reason why AI and these things kind of came into our fold is very just that, because after we realized, hey, there's things out there that help people, it kept coming back to us, post-traumatic stress, PTSD, and that when you talk to any veteran or anybody that's gone to the VA, they're like, yeah, they just give me a bunch of Xanax and send me on my way. And a lot of these soldiers, veterans, and people that I know personally and that we've known of, like they've seek treatment through other methods, and not all of them are good, obviously, but some of them are really good, and a lot of it is psychedelics. Veterans are getting psychedelic post-traumatic stress treatment. They're either doing it themselves or they're seeking it, and so it's like, well, it helps, right? And the medical community is like, well, no, there's no evidence. It's like, well, we can prove it now. Look. And then they're like, well, no, you can't. We're like, well, actually, you can. AI is going to tell you that it is. And all of a sudden, you have truth versus what someone's saying, and then you can prove it versus whatever they're just telling you to listen to. So you can look at like thousands and tens of thousands of years of psychedelics being honored and super type of a medical tradition or some manner to help or see truth. And then you have the other side, who's saying no, it's not, and there's no medical solution to that. Just the same thing you're saying. Just because they're not going to go back every day and eat mushrooms every day, you know what I mean? Or they're not going to take a psychedelic every day. And so just that, there's no returning customer. And I think this is the truth that has to be faced now, because you have decentralized science, and we just really feel like AI and DeSci are definitely two things, because you're proving the science with AI, and then you're backing up the truth of it through the blockchain of the timing and so forth. So, that's really like the biggest thing is these things are all just, they present themselves, and like, what are we supposed to do? Ignore them? It's like, these things are here and they're coming together at the right time. And trust me, like when I try to explain to like family and friends, they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, AI, DeSci, coins, psychedelics. They're like, what? But when you really look at it from like just like one idea, not a bunch of things, it just kind of makes sense. And hopefully, in a year or two or whatever, when this is more mainstream, people are going to just be like, oh, I get it. Like trying to explain what an iPhone is or social media to someone like 20 or 30 years ago, they're really not, they're going to be like, what? And then, nowadays you're like, oh yeah, duh. So hopefully that will come to fruition. But I think like our background with content and trying to just hammer the mission, the idea of what DeSci is and all these things, hopefully we'll get into the minds of the mass consumer.
So here's something. So when you guys come up, let's just say, I don't exactly know how this is going to work. This is obviously your field here, and it's crazy. I just spent that 5 minutes explaining to TikTok that this is just my opinion. My video views just dropped by 150 views in seconds, and I just got two warning notifications. So this is exactly why we need crypto. I just want to point something. This is totally outside of what we were just talking about. But not just in science, we need crypto because we need to be able to speak freely. We need to be able to solve problems, and you have these centralized platforms that don't let us talk, that don't let us speak truly, whether it's true or not. We should be able to talk about it. And so I literally just lost 100, almost 200 people. Now we went down to 168 people. We were at almost 300. So just because it's crazy, man. I was telling everybody, by the way, guys, I'm going to say it again. Go over to Elon's platform at The Real TR Talks with an S, The Real TR Talks. We are live over there, so we can actually say what we really want to say. But anyways, now, when you guys come up with findings, or someone comes up with findings, say you're funding a project, right? Axon is funding a project or something, and some findings come out of that, and it's really cool and it's life changing, And does that get put on the blockchain so that it can't be deleted? Like, is there, that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about. When you have a blockchain, you can, whenever you create something or you do something, one of the problems, like I just said, is that big pharma or whoever, and this is my opinion again, but big pharma will come in and they'll try to suppress it or buy you out and this and that. And that information, say something was solved, say something through psychedelics solved a certain problem, and that takes away from, the medical field, not the medical field, the what do you call them, the whoever creates the pills, pharmaceutical companies and stuff like that, takes away from them. They try to suppress that. Is that something that you guys are working on as well?
Yeah, well, I mean, the idea, there's a lot of ways to do this, and again, we're so early, but there's a lot of things here. Depending on what the project is, I guess it's the first thing, and then how big, and then what data are they gathering. It's our intention to have it so that the whatever research is pulled in or whatever is controlled by the entity that is doing it. So if it's a group of students or whatever is getting the funding to do the thing, that they really ultimately have the control of that. But we're going to have to learn through a couple trials of going through this, see kind of what works and what doesn't. But we want to have that data that they create be like available for anybody to use, but in a way that they can benefit in a fair way. So it just depends on what we're doing. But at the other side of that is like, one of the problems with everyone getting funding nowadays is like they just get funding and they're like, okay, bye. So there's no like recourse or follow up. So that's our big thing, is to like, no matter what, if it's a problem and it's solving an issue, people want to know about it. So we want to kind of like follow up and say like, well, how far did you get on this? Okay, we got halfway through your funding. Okay, what did you do? And then if it is really really a problem, then we can start finding ways that the community can get involved. The community can add to the data set or whatever we're trying to do to prove or show that something is effective or not effective. And one of the things we're working with is like regenerative agriculture, the farm, the soil, students developing different proteins, and just trying to find all these different things. So every single project is going to have like its own life, and yeah, we want that access to the information to be available. But I think, honestly, I'm not going to kid anybody and say like we have it all figured out, because this is brand new. But we want to make sure that the information that is being developed is, available in like some sort of a decentralized communal way where, it's not taken and it's not given away, but it's used in a way that benefits the parties in just a good, honest, scientific way. Take capitalism out of the number one slot, because you need money for things, but just put capitalism like maybe equal to the science, or let the science be a little bit higher than the capitalistic incentives. So that's really it. I mean, just trying to make sure that things are like prioritized in the right way, because that's the
No, that
problem.
makes sense. That makes sense, because you think about the world today, a lot of when it comes to medicine, when it comes to cancers, when it comes to solving all of these problems, pharmaceutical companies, the most important thing is the bottom line. The most important thing is the money. And I agree. I mean, that's I think one of the things that slows down the progression. I mean, how many things, and this could be a little bit conspiratorial. This is again my opinion, but how many things out there, how many different diseases and just chronic issues and whatever it may be that's wrong with you have already been solved or could have been solved, but it doesn't help the bottom line of the pharmaceutical world. And one of the things, go ahead.
To cut you off about it, but in this discovery phase of going through this, for how many years we've been doing this, and then really the year past, it comes back to like, we just do symptom care. We don't do preventative care. We don't do like eat healthy, like maybe the soil, maybe the food, maybe the pesticides, maybe you don't have a you know all these issues that are just, they're induced because of all the pesticides and the garbage we're putting in our food. So like, in our whole introspection of like what the whole problem is, yeah, there's like all these other things in the forefront that can be solved like more short term, but then the bigger goal is the food supply and how we look at health. And so like part of our goal, I feel like, has become to educate, and really trying to take that under our wing and make sure like people realize like you don't just go to your doctor because you're feeling bad. It's because you're eating something that comes from something that isn't growing properly, and you're just, you don't have a chance. And it's kind of like, uh, children being fed this garbage, and then they're just not getting a chance to develop fully, because they're just not getting that full nutrients. So that, like, we're realizing this from like, it's a big systemic problem, like from the deep root of it. And not to get any political at all, but the whole Maha movement,
Yeah.
RFK, it's amazing because he's saying all the things that we've seen for years, and then now he's like making it a thing. So I think people are becoming more adaptive to the idea, like, hey, I don't just need to go get a statin pill because my heart has an issue or I have blood pressure. It's like, no, eat something that's better for you over time, and treat yourself a little bit. And I think maybe the masses are starting to break from the binds of like, oh, we just have to like, eat low cholesterol and sugar free. It's like, no, that's the sugar free is going to kill you, like, because it's made with something else, or like, margarine. It's like, it starts with the education, but it goes further back to like the health of why we're, healthy or unhealthy. But there's just so many things, like, we're not just making a paintbrush and that's our business. Like, it's a very complicated thing. At the same time, it's doing a lot, and the power that this can bring to the people itself is just kind of overwhelming to think like we're here. But we have amazing people, like, again, Dr. Willard, who's our co-founder since day one. He's been an ER doctor for probably about 30 years now. So we know, everybody in our team kind of sees like all the facets of this, what can be moved, what can be changed, where the problems lie. And I think everyone's scratching their head to the same problems. And I think, it just comes back to like, there's an obvious thing to fix. Let's do it.
We got to get you in front of RFK. That's the next goal.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's get you in a room with him. I'm not even kidding. We're gonna work on it. I'm gonna start making some videos, and start reaching out. That would be really cool. No, that's awesome. I didn't know that, and that's actually really interesting. I didn't know that you guys had a doctor who was a co-founder of your company as well. That's pretty cool. So you got scientists, doctors, and engineers, and that's very interesting. You guys got a really solid team from what I understand. I didn't know that though. That's really cool.
Yeah, Dr. Willard, I'm sorry. I try to get him on the X Spaces. He's a little timid to getting on there, but I think he got on a couple of times, and he's just like, hey, it's pretty cool. I'm like, yeah, it's not like he's like, it's not like the stuffy boardrooms I'm used to. I'm like, yeah, that's what you're used to with a medical thing. He's like, here we're trying to be cool and try to solve problems. So
that's awesome, man. Yeah. That's awesome. So I actually just reset my my TikToks. We're back up to over 200 now. I just turned it off and turned it back on because you know how they get. But anyways, with that said, there's a project that you've been talking about, that the ring. There's a I think you're in beta right now. You're testing it. Can you tell us more about the ring that Axon is coming out with? It's literally a ring that you wear, right? Can you tell us a little more about it?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it here. Yeah, it's a blank. Okay, it's the same people who've made all the other health rings. It's just a blank ring that we can parse the data into. So we had to do that ourselves. So now that we have this ring that can take all your data, your analytics, everything that this first generation can do, it's pretty basic, but it's going to work in its novelty way, that it's going to be able to pull in your data. It's going to be in your Cure OS dashboard, and then all the projects that we have, A+ voice, Silosis. We have another one that's coming out. I'm really excited to share this one, but I'll wait. We have two really good projects that are coming out, but all these things are going to be in your Cure OS profile. But the ring itself is just going to be like the first way for us to show like, hey, this works. You can pull your data in. I've worn the ring when I was at NVIDIA AI Summit. I wore it like 5 days or something. That thing is awesome. Like, don't tell my wife, but like it's nicer than my wedding ring because it's like soft on the inside, it's metal on the outside. I'm like, I kind of could wear this a little easier. But it just goes to show, like, I'm not a jewelry person at all. Like, sorry, but I'm just like a dude and I don't like stuff on me. But this ring was actually really comfortable and I didn't even know I had it on. So it's just a really cool way to be like, hey, you know, I ate this meal, or like, you know, whatever. You can see like the effects of like everything you do throughout the day. And then it's really cool when you can start adding in like all the other things that like, you know, when we do the microdosing studies, when we do the other studies we're going to be doing, that you can see the cause and effect. Like, I did this and then this happened and look at the effect.
So the ring reads what's going on. So literally what you're saying is it's reading what's going on with your body as you're eating things, as you're doing things, as you're exercising, and then is it recording it as well? That's super cool.
Bluetooth thing into your QoS app. There's some other really cool things that you can do with like the microphone to take the data in, and there's all kinds of things. But what's really, really exciting is that this system that Max has got in touch with, that we're going to be able to pull in all the data from all of your wearables into your QoS system. That's our proprietary system. So Fitbit, Garmin, Google, Apple, you name it. There's like 50 of them. Peloton. I mean, everyone. So all the things you do are going to be able to go into your QoS system. And, you know, again, you're going to be able to like compare, contrast things. Max in the middle with the dev team doing the user interface. To me, I'm like, I was kind of pounding him last night about it because I was like, I want to know the interface, because I think that's like where you're connecting with the 80% of people who don't know crypto. And it's like, we're trying to bring those 80% of people who don't know crypto, but might know about wearables and stuff into this space. So, you know, I'm kind of like, hurry up. I want to see something, but they got the back end, everything is pulling in. It's raw data. It's coming in. We're just trying to make it look nice and cute. And, he gave me a date. He said sometime in December. He said, if I had to say something today, we're going to have some version of this ready here in December, which is not that far away. So
no, that's not. That's awesome, man. I'm excited to see that. Hopefully you guys can send me one so I can do some videos on it and show people how it works. I'd be excited for that. So the last thing we'll get into is, well, I don't know how much you can say. I'm going to try to pry it out of you. So is there anything new coming with Axon? You just said that there's two different things, I think. Can you speak on it at all? Is there anything you can give us?
Yeah. I can kind of like break the ice a little bit. Max wanted me to, and I've been hesitant. But one thing that has been coinciding a lot with us and the opportunities that are bringing themselves to us is that, you know, you have a lot of alternate medicines and alternate things here. And one of those, obviously, we've been working with is psychedelics and trying to do this in the very most ethical manner. But the other thing that's kind of presenting itself is cannabis. So you have all this cannabis that's available now in a public light, and you go to a cannabis dispensary and they just kind of give you whatever. There's no like, there might be terpene explanations, but there is not an actual quantitative public database that shows that this strain causes you to get tired at the end of it, or it might make you paranoid. So it's like, you don't go to a pharmacy and they just give you whatever they feel like.
Right.
That's what I feel like is happening there with the dispensary issue with cannabis, because they're just giving the stuff out, but there's really no like standardization. There's just like feedback. There's opinions. There's
Well,
no like
opinion. It's an opinion from some stoner behind the table that says this would make me feel this way. You know.
So when you have the chemical breakdowns that they're required to do by law, and this coincides with Therusha's doing and extracting all the chemical analysis from the fungus to show like, hey, this chemical compound will create, you know, this typical profile for the human in ingesting this. The same with cannabis, like this chemical profile will typically do this to this person. So now when you're adding in your voice and all your biometrics, when you do this on a mass scale, we're paying people to consume cannabis. At the same time, they're going to be able to get some AHGT for submitting their data. We're going to have a better cannabis database. We're going to have better means for people to not get medicine they don't wish to have or they prefer. You can just start making sense out of all of this stuff. And personally, I think it's wrong that they're just like giving out psychedelics at a store, just like, here you go, because that's not really how you should do that. But anyway, now you can start making sense of this stuff. You can start saying like, hey, this works with this. And then maybe, you add in your DNA to these things.
And this is something you're working on, Chris. You guys are working on at Axon, and how, I guess, can you elaborate? I don't know how far you can elaborate, but what's the steps being taken to take that to the masses? Like, I think it's a great idea. I think everything you're saying, 1000%. You go there and it's like, well, there's a lot of benefits from cannabis. There's a lot of benefits, right? But there's no medical data behind it that's saying this certain strand does X, Y, Z. What are you guys actually doing? That's gonna. I get the plan, but is it going to coincide with the ring? I mean, are you doing studies? Are you working with anybody yet? Can you elaborate a little bit more?
Yeah, I'd love. Well, first of all, the same thing we're doing with the IRB ethics board to do a protocol standardization of the microdosing protocol, so that we can quantify the information you're submitting as actual clinical data. We're doing that now. Once we kind of get that figured out and ironed out, that's going to be our first one. We're basically going to cookie cut that, because it's the same kind of, once we do the main protocol, it's a little bit of tweaking to do it for the cannabis one, but it's going to actually pull it in and quantify and qualify the data as clinical data. So that's like the big thing. The other thing is that I don't know how many brands that we have 1 degree away from relationships with that are major seltzer drinks, cannabis brands nationwide through the U.S. And typically we'd have to look through the U.S. here, but I don't want to say names yet. But everyone we have some tie with somebody one way or another that's like right there with the cannabis stuff. We're also doing something with music. I kind of just threw that out there, but the other big project we're going to do is we're going to work with musicians, bands, artists, the whole 9 yards. We have some really amazing things. And I don't know if you know that Travis Shallow, who's been helping us, he's a pretty big name in the music industry. And like he opened up for like the Allman Brothers and the Tedeschi Trucks, and he's done some pretty big stuff. So he knows the music industry pretty well. And, I come from the music industry, and a lot of people are in the music industry, we know. So there's another whole big thing there that we want to start working with, that how music actually does help. And like, hey, you can start getting musicians involved and getting them something. And so like, I don't want to like get too far off track there, but it just comes back to like the things that we know as humans help us. We can just start making sure that those things are factual, and like, yes, this does help. Oh, this song might make you feel better. Oh, this strain might make you feel better than not. Hey, you're actually DNA. You can't smoke cannabis, or you can't take cannabis. There's all these things now that we can start making sense of, and quantifying and qualifying all this stuff that like we know works or we know doesn't. And so it's just, we're just trying to tie it up. I don't know how much more I can say other than that.
No, that's plenty, man. That's actually, I mean, I can, my brain's already going with this. It's a very interesting thing. I mean, I think a lot of us have at one point or another been inside of one of those, cannabis stores. And it really, if you're like, hey, I'm looking for something to make me sleep, it's like you're literally asking a random person behind the scenes there how they feel on certain things. And look, I mean, if that's what you like to do for a living, and that's what you want to be, a cannabis server, fine. But like, we're trying to get our almost like medical advice from a person behind the counter of a cannabis store, It just
It's like
doesn't.
you're getting your, say, from the bartender. You're like, hey, I have a cold, and he's like, here's some whiskey. It's like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I get it. I get it. So that's really cool. And it's really interesting. I want to point out what you just said. You guys are very close to, I guess you could say, partnerships with different cannabis companies. We won't say any names, anything like that, but that's on the horizon. And that's something to look forward to. And I think that's a huge industry, huge industry. So congrats on that, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, we
Well,
got to we got everything ready. We're just waiting to kind of pull the trigger on the full announcements, but we have enough to do. So that's going to be coming out very soon. So I'm excited to share when we do. So you're hearing it here first. There you go.
yeah, no, that's awesome. And I know I can't say any names, and we've already had this conversation, but are we getting closer to any bigger exchange listings, anything like that with Axon?
You know how I'm versed in how to say that and respond, but yes, we have a lot of offers being thrown at us, like kind of ridiculous. We're working through what is good and what's not, what's best for us, you
Good.
know. But yeah, I mean, we're definitely, yeah, how can I say this? We're like any business, and we want to expand our distribution channels so that
Sure.
we can facilitate more user base, and we're doing that with the best intentions. And I feel like we have some really good, we have some really legitimate leads here on that. And how do I say this? We just got like the okay from all powers that be that we can start doing those things. So I
Good.
don't know, I'm trying to hold my giddiness back, but all that kind of just fell into our lap last week. So
Yeah,
now
I
we're
saw
just
it.
okay, now what do we do? It's like we're 21 and we can go to anywhere, and it's like, what do we do? And we're like, okay, let's not get screwed over. Let's not go to the first, one who's handing out some deal. And then also a lot of the people we're working with, advisors and stuff, are like, don't work with these guys, work with these guys. So
Sure.
we're meeting there, but we have a really awesome meeting tomorrow morning, actually a Sunday morning. But it's one of the bigger exchanges. So
All right. Well, we'll keep it there. We don't. I don't want to get a slap on the wrist again. So, but no, that's really exciting. So, bigger exchange listings coming for Axon. We'll just leave it at that. Which obviously, for those of you, and this is coming from me, and obviously not Chris, but what that says to me is higher, much, much higher. So, I'll leave it at that. I know that's the most important thing for all of you watching, right? For us here, and for you guys, it's how can we change the world? And you guys are really actually going after something that's, I think, worth paying attention to. And I can tell you that this is going to be a long-term project for me, and I hope as well. And I'm excited to be here. I'm proud to be working with you guys. And thanks for being here, man. And yeah, if there's anything else, do you want to add anything else before you go?
I kind of do, if you don't mind. You made me think of
Of
something.
course.
I just want to like give everyone like a little background to understand that we stem from medical, that Dr. Willard has been in this for a long, long time. All the associates we've worked with have deep roots and institutional, medical establishment. They understand the pain points, they understand the problems, they understand what solution would work and what wouldn't. But that kind of coincided us with working with Med Comet, who's Dr. McLam and Jason Williams, and they're associated with all the big institutions in Raleigh and Research Park, Triangle Research Park, and Durham. So, to let everyone understand that we're not just some kids who made some coin in the basement, even though I am in the basement, is that our background just stems from like the highest level. I mean, Dr. Willard was on the board at the hospital for I don't know how many years now. So, when it comes down to like practicality of initiating this into the institutional realm, we're one step away. All we have to do is get a use case, and we're there. So we have a lot of other things that are waiting for us there as soon as we get the use cases through. So as you see that we're doing this, we're trying to do the clinical data, we're trying to get all these things. once we get the use case, we can really start initiating with the major institutions, the major players, to show like this actually can help your patients, help your bottom line, help all powers that be, so they can still make their big profits. And then we can have a better use case and a better outcome for humans. You know, we just want to live better, healthier lives and
I
get
love
something.
that.
So
Well,
that's it.
you guys are a sleeping giant. Not just in price terms, but I think you guys are a sleeping giant in an actual company being built. Like you said, it's not just a couple of devs that got together, a couple of kids, and built something in their basement. Maybe it started in your basement, and I think a lot of companies started in your basement, right?
Or
But you guys,
garage.
yeah, or a garage, but you're far from the garage and far from the basement now. And I'm excited to see what comes in the future of this project. And I thank you for being here. I think everybody else probably thanks you for being here as well. And we'll have to do this again. And anyways, with that, I will see you guys next time. Appreciate y'all being here. So we'll see you later. Go ahead, Javi. You can